The year was 2157. Humanity had finally done it. After decades of research and countless failed attempts, they had created an engine that could bend space itself. The U.S. Frontier, Earth's first true interstellar ship, hung in orbit above the blue planet, ready for its historic journey. Captain Richard Moore stood on the bridge, his hands clasped behind his back as he watched Earth grow smaller on the viewscreen. He was 45, with graying hair at his temples and eyes that had seen too many training simulations. Now it was real. "Final systems check complete, Captain," said Lieutenant Eric Carter from the security station. He was younger than Moore, with a soldier's build and watchful eyes that never seemed to rest. "Thank you, Lieutenant." "Commander Powell, are you ready for our first contact protocols?" Moore asked. Commander Samantha Powell looked up from her station. As the ship's diplomatic officer, the success of their mission rested heavily on her shoulders. "As ready as we'll ever be, sir." The journey to the coordinates provided in the mysterious transmission took 3 weeks. The message had been simple: "Welcome to the galactic community. Proceed to these coordinates for formal introduction." It had been broadcast on all frequencies after humanity's first successful test of the warp drive. When they arrived, the crew of the Frontier fell silent. A massive space station hung against the backdrop of an orange-red gas giant. Ships of various designs moved around it like peas around a hive. "My God," whispered Powell. "We're not alone. We're really not alone." The welcome they received was not what they expected. As Moore, Powell, and a small team stepped onto the Galactic Council station, they immediately noticed how different they were. The aliens towered over them, some nearly 9 feet tall with iridescent scales, others short but incredibly broad with multiple limbs. Some floated on anti-gravity devices, their bodies seemingly too fragile for normal movement. A tall, reptilian being approached them. "Ah, the humans arrive at last. I am Ambassador Krax of the Vraxian Dominion, current chair of the Galactic Council." Powell stepped forward with a practiced smile. "On behalf of Earth and all humanity, we—" Yes, Krax interrupted with a dismissive wave of a clawed hand. "We've heard the speeches before from every newly warped species. Follow me. The Council will see you now." In the Grand Chamber, representatives from 24 species sat in rising tiers. Some whispered among themselves as the humans entered. Others made sounds that might have been laughter. As Powell presented humanity's achievements and hopes for cooperation, a holographic display showed Earth's specifications: gravity, atmosphere, biology. With each slide, more alien delegates began to make amused sounds. "So your species requires 8 hours of unconsciousness daily," asked a being with glowing photoreceptors. "How inefficient." "And your muscles can only exert that much force," questioned another, its voice translated through their earpieces. "Our juveniles are stronger." "Their technology is primitive," noted a floating cloud of gas with metallic particles suspended within it. "They only achieved atomic energy 2 centuries ago." Lieutenant Carter watched the room carefully, noticing how the Vraxians positioned themselves near exits and communication panels. His instincts told him this wasn't just a diplomatic meeting. The final humiliation came when Ambassador Krax rose again. "The Council has deliberated. Earth is granted protected species status," he announced. "Your territory will be restricted to your solar system and immediate neighboring stars. Your technology is deemed inadequate for full Council membership." "Protected?" Moore questioned. "From what?" Krax's mouth stretched in what might have been a smile. "From yourselves, of course, and from those who might take advantage of such delicate beings." That night, in their assigned quarters, the Earth delegation sat in stunned silence. "They're treating us like children," Carter said finally, his fists clenched. "Or pets," Powell added, her earlier diplomacy replaced by cold anger. Captain Moore looked out at the stars through a viewport. "They think we're weak," he said quietly. "They think we're a joke." None of them spoke the obvious truth. Humanity, The species that had survived ice ages, plagues, and their own destructive tendencies was now the laughingstock of the galaxy. They didn't know that humans had always been at their most dangerous when underestimated. 5 years passed since humanity's first contact with the Galactic Council. Earth had established a small colony on Alpha Centauri and maintained a humble presence in galactic politics. To most alien species, humans were still a curiosity. Weak creatures who needed too much sleep, broke too easily, and lacked the advanced technology that defined galactic civilization. Dr. Olivia Harrison sat in her lab on the research station orbiting Alpha Centauri. Through the viewport, she could see the U.S. Discovery preparing for its next mission. As a xenobiologist, she had spent years studying the various alien species that humans now interacted with. Computer, replay Vraxian physical response test, she said. A hologram appeared, showing a Vraxian soldier performing strength and endurance tests. The reptilian being could lift tremendous weights but tired quickly. The data scrolling beside the image told an interesting story, one that the Vraxians didn't realize she was collecting. Her door chimed. "Come in," she called. Captain William Bennett of the Discovery entered. He was a quiet man with observant eyes and a reputation for thoroughness. "Dr. Harrison, I read your latest report. Interesting findings about the Vraxian muscular structure." She smiled. "They're incredibly strong, but their endurance is poor compared to humans. They evolved on a high-gravity world, but with frequent rest periods. They literally cannot understand how humans can just keep going." "That matches what we've observed in their battle drills," Bennett said, lowering his voice. "My science vessel has been mapping more than just stars." This was the secret that Earth carefully maintained, while presenting an image of bumbling, harmless newcomers to galactic society. Humans were watching, learning, preparing. On Earth, in an underground facility beneath the Rocky Mountains, General Frank Martinez reviewed the latest intelligence. Holographic displays showed alien ship designs, weapons capabilities, and tactical doctrines. "Their biggest advantage is still technology," he told the Joint Chiefs of Staff. "But technology can be copied, stolen, or countered." A junior officer entered with a data tablet. "Sir, Diplomatic Officer Campbell's report from the Nelvari homeworld." Martinez read it quickly. The Nelvari were one of the few species physically similar to humans. Bilateral symmetry, similar height, and comparable strength. They were technologically advanced, but faced increasing pressure from the Vraxian Dominion. "Campbell believes they would ally with us if pressed," Martins noted. "They see the same Vraxian expansion that concerns us." Across the galaxy, Ryan Campbell sat with Nelvari Trade Minister Elon in a garden of blue-leaf plants. The Nelvari had skin with a slight bluish tint and large eyes, but could easily pass for human at a distance. "Your people continue to surprise me," Elon said. "Most species take decades to learn our language so fluently." Campbell smiled. "We have a talent for languages, and for adapting." "The Vraxians don't believe that," Elon said, lowering his voice. "They think your kind is simple. They laugh about humans in the council chambers." "Let them laugh," Campbell replied. "We're patient." Later that night, Campbell transmitted his report through the secure quantum channel. The Nelvari were potential allies, and they had shield technology far beyond Earth's current capabilities. Back on the Alpha Centauri station, Dr. Harrison recorded her daily log. "The more I study alien physiologies, the more I realize something important. They evolved to be perfect for their worlds. Humans evolved to be adaptable to any world. They see this as weakness, that we're not the strongest, fastest, or most specialized. They don't understand that adaptability itself is our strength." In Earth orbit, the shipyards worked silently. The vessels under construction didn't look like warships. They appeared to be simple trade and transport ships, until you looked more closely at the reinforced hulls, the disguised weapons mounts, and the advanced propulsion systems. Humanity was playing a long game. Each insult in the Galactic Council, Each dismissive comment about human weakness, each patronizing trade agreement, all were noted and remembered. The galaxy thought humans were the cosmic joke. No one was paying attention to who was really laughing. The attack came without warning. The small human research outpost near the Perseus Arm was studying the unique pulsar when Vraxian warships appeared on their sensors. The station was officially listed as a scientific installation with only basic defensive capabilities. Dr. Amanda Fuller was the first to see the approaching ships. She was 42, with streaks of gray in her dark hair from years of hard work in space. As head researcher, she had 36 other humans under her command. "Battle stations," she ordered calmly. "Begin emergency data transmission protocol." The staff moved with practiced efficiency that would have surprised any alien observers. For years, all human outposts had run regular drills for this exact scenario. "Vraxian dreadnought hailing us," called out the communications officer. The main screen showed the scaled face of a Vraxian commander. His eye ridges lifted in what humans now recognize as amusement. "Human station," he said, "you have violated Vraxian space by establishing this outpost. Surrender immediately." Dr. Fuller stood straight. "Commander, we are in neutral space as recognized by the Galactic Council. Our mission is purely scientific." The Vraxian laughed, a hissing sound that sent chills down human spines. "The Council has revised the border. This is now Vraxian territory. You have 1 hour to evacuate." The screen went dark. "They're lying," said Lieutenant Joseph Davis, the station's security officer. He was younger than most of the science team, with quick eyes that tracked the tactical display. "The Council made no such ruling." "It doesn't matter," Fuller replied. "They mean to take this station, begin evacuation procedures, and make sure the special package gets on the first shuttle." The special package was a data core containing everything the station had observed about Vraxian ship movements, weapons systems, and communication patterns. It was the true purpose of the outpost. The evacuation had barely begun when the first shots hit the station. The Vraxians hadn't waited the promised hour. "They're targeting our hangar bay," shouted Davis as the station shook. Fuller gripped a console to stay upright. "Get that first shuttle away now." The small shuttle launched, carrying 8 scientists and the precious data core. The Vraxian ships fired but missed the tiny, fast-moving craft as it jumped to warp. The next shots hit the station's main power core. In the end, 37 humans died when the station exploded. Lieutenant Davis and 2 security officers survived in a small escape pod, drifting for 3 days before being picked up by a passing Nelvari ship. On Earth, the news of the attack spread quickly. In the emergency meeting of Earth's Defense Council, General Martinez's face was grim as he displayed the images from the station's final transmission. "The data core made it out," he said. "And we have a survivor, Lieutenant Davis." He saw their tactics firsthand. Earth's representative to the Galactic Council, Lisa Morgan, was present via hologram from the Council station. "The Vraxians are claiming it was a regrettable accident. They say the station was warned but failed to evacuate in time." "And the Council?" asked the President. Morgan's expression hardened. "They've officially labeled it as unfortunate collateral damage in a border dispute. No sanctions against the Vraxians will be considered." The room was silent for a moment. "Then it's time," the President said finally. "Activate the Thunderbolt Protocol." General Martinez nodded. "All military production facilities are already being converted. The fleet elements we've hidden within civilian ships are moving to staging areas. We can be ready within 2 months." Representative Morgan straightened her shoulders. "What should I tell the Council?" "Maintain the facade," the President ordered. "Act afraid. Ask for increased protections for human ships. Make them think we're cowering." Morgan's hologram nodded. "And behind the scenes, deliver our message to the Nelvari and our other potential allies. The time for watching is over." Across Earth and its colonies, factories that had seemingly produced civilian goods began revealing their true purposes: Ships that looked like freighters shed their false hulls, exposing weapons and armor beneath. Training centers that had officially taught space survival now openly prepared soldiers for combat. Humanity had hoped for peace. The Vraxians had chosen war. And they would soon learn that the galaxy's Laughingstock had very sharp teeth. 2 months after the attack on the research station, a new ship emerged from Earth's orbital shipyards. Unlike the humble vessels humans had previously shown to the galaxy, this one made no attempt to hide its purpose. Its hull was dark gray with minimal markings. Weapon ports lined its sides, and its engines glowed with a power that no human ship had displayed before. The ship was named U.S. Defiance. On its bridge, Captain Daniel Wright sat in the command chair. He was tall and lean, with a quiet confidence that inspired trust in his crew. "Status report," he said. "All systems at full capacity, Captain," replied Chief Engineer Stephanie Rogers. She had spent the last 3 years secretly developing the ship's specialized systems. "The new shield generators are online." Wright nodded. The shield technology had been adapted from designs provided by their Nelvari allies, modified to work with human power systems. Weapons status. Lieutenant Peter Hoffman at Tactical checked his displays. "All weapon systems ready. The targeting systems are locked onto the Vraxian biological signatures as planned." This was humanity's greatest secret advantage. After years of studying Vraxian physiology, Dr. Harrison and her team had developed weapons that specifically affected Vraxian neural systems. The weapons wouldn't kill, but they would severely disorient Vraxian soldiers, disrupting their coordination. Communications. Communications Officer Paul Evans turned from his station. "Secure channels established with all human ships and our allied vessels. The Nelvari Battle Group confirms they are in position, but hidden from Vraxian sensors." Wright pressed a button on his chair. "This is Captain Wright to all crew. For years, humanity has been mocked and underestimated. Today, we show the galaxy what humans can do when pushed too far. Our mission is clear. Disable the Vraxian outpost in the Taurus sector and extract our captured scientists. We are not seeking to start a war, but to end one that the Vraxians began." In the engine room, Chief Engineer Rogers made final adjustments to the ship's power systems. The Defiance's engines were unlike anything humans had publicly revealed. Based partly on recovered Vraxian technology and partly on human innovation, they gave the ship speed and maneuverability that would surprise their enemies. In the medical bay, Dr. Kevin Walsh prepared his team. The nanite technology he had developed was his greatest achievement. Microscopic robots that could enter Vraxian bodies through their breathing filters and temporarily disable their neural interfaces. The technology that linked Vraxian soldiers to their ships and weapons. "Remember," he told his team, "we're not trying to kill them, just disable their advantages." On the Vraxian outpost in the Taurus sector, 3 human scientists were being held prisoner. Officially, the Vraxians denied having any humans in custody. In reality, they were interrogating the scientists to learn about human technology and physiology. What the Vraxians didn't know was that one of the scientists, Dr. Laura Chen, had been implanted with a tracker that their scans couldn't detect. Her location was transmitting directly to the Defiance. The Defiance and its escort of 4 smaller ships dropped out of warp just outside the Vraxian outpost's sensor range. "Deploy stealth probes," ordered Captain Wright. Small, nearly undetectable drones shot away from the Defiance, sending back detailed scans of the outpost. "They have 5 patrol ships," reported Lieutenant Hoffman. "Standard configuration. Their shields are designed to stop energy weapons, not our new projectiles." Wright nodded. "Begin approach. Communications, send word to our Nelvari allies to stand by." The Defiance moved forward, its engines running in a special mode that masked their true power. To Vraxian sensors, it would appear as just another human ship, weak and unthreatening. On the main view screen, the Vraxian outpost grew larger. It was a brutal-looking structure, all angles and weapons. "They're hailing us," said Evans. "Good," replied Wright. "Let's put on our best scared human act one last time." The screen changed to show a Vraxian commander, his scales gleaming in the harsh lighting of his command center. "Human vessel," he hissed, "you are trespassing in Vraxian space. Prepare to be boarded." Wright allowed himself a small smile before responding. It was the smile of a predator that had finally decided to stop hiding. "I'm afraid we must decline your invitation," he said calmly. "And we've come for our people." The Vraxian began to laugh, but his laughter died as the Defiance's hull suddenly transformed, weapon ports opening all along its length. The time for being the galaxy's joke was over. The Vraxian commander's face showed shock as the Defiance's weapons locked onto his outpost. For a moment, he seemed unable to speak. Then his training took over. "All ships, attack the human vessel," he ordered. 5 Vraxian patrol ships moved toward the Defiance, their weapons charging. They expected an easy victory. Human ships had always been slow and poorly armed. Captain Wright remained calm. "Evasive pattern Delta. Target their propulsion systems only." The Defiance moved with shocking speed, dodging the first volley of Vraxian energy weapons. The human ship twisted in space in ways the Vraxians had never seen a ship that size move. "Fire," Wright ordered. The Defiance's weapons fired. Instead of energy beams, they launched small, fast-moving projectiles. The Vraxian shields, designed to stop energy attacks, barely slowed them down. The projectiles struck with precision, damaging engines and weapon systems, but avoiding life support areas. "First wave of nanite missiles away," reported Lieutenant Hoffman. Small missiles flew from the Defiance, heading not for the ships but for the outpost itself. They exploded near the air filtration systems, releasing clouds of microscopic robots. Inside the outpost, Commander Nicole Baker and her stealth team were already in position. They had arrived 3 days earlier on a seemingly harmless trade ship and had been hiding in the outpost's unused sections, mapping its systems and preparing for this moment. Baker was short but strong, a specialist in space station infiltration. Her team of 6 wore lightweight armor that adapted to different environments, another human advantage the Vraxians didn't know about. "Nanites detected in the air system," Baker said into her small communicator. "Beginning Phase 2. Her team moved quickly through the maintenance tunnels of the outpost. Unlike the Vraxians, humans could function in tight spaces for long periods. The tunnels were hot and had less oxygen than humans preferred, but the team's training let them work through the discomfort. Meanwhile, on the Defiance, Captain Wright watched as the Vraxian patrol ships struggled against his vessel's unexpected capabilities. "Sir, 2 enemy ships disabled. 3 still engaging," reported Hoffman. "The Nelveri ships are asking if we need assistance," added Evans at communications. Wright shook his head. "Tell them to hold position. This needs to be a human victory." Inside the outpost, the nanites were doing their work. Vraxian soldiers began to stagger and lose coordination as the tiny machines disrupted their neural interfaces. These interfaces, implanted in all Vraxian military personnel, enhanced their natural abilities, but also created a vulnerability that Dr. Walsh had discovered. Commander Baker's team reached the prison section. 2 disoriented Vraxian guards tried to stop them, but couldn't coordinate their movements properly. Baker's team easily subdued them without killing them. "Cell block secured," Baker reported. "We have found the 3 scientists, all alive." Dr. Laura Chen looked up in surprise as Baker's team entered the cell. "You actually came for us," she said weakly. "We never leave our people behind," Baker replied, helping Chen to her feet. Outside, the battle took an unexpected turn. The remaining Vraxian ships, desperate to save face, attempted a suicide run at the Defiance. "Incoming ships on collision course," warned Hoffman. "Full power to forward shields," ordered Wright. "Prepare tractor beams." The Defiance's shields flared as they absorbed the energy of the first Vraxian ship that couldn't turn away in time. The other 2 were caught in tractor beams that slowed their approach. "Sir, the outpost commander is hailing us," said Evans. The main screen showed the Vraxian commander again. His movements were jerky from the nanites, but his anger was clear. "What have you done to us?" he demanded. "Shown you that humans are not to be underestimated," replied Wright. "Your soldiers will recover in approximately 6 hours. By then, we'll be gone with our people." Baker's team reached their extraction point, the scientists safely with them. "Ready for pickup, Captain," Baker reported. The Defiance moved closer to the outpost, its shuttle bay doors opening to receive the team's small craft. As the team's shuttle docked safely, Admiral Howard Russell's message was broadcast to all human colonies and ships, and to the Galactic Council itself. "Today, humanity has responded to unprovoked aggression with measured force. We officially declare our security zone, and will defend it against all threats. The days of treating humans as weak or insignificant are over. We seek peace, but we are prepared for war." On the Galactic Council station, the alien representatives watched the recording of the battle in stunned silence. The Laughingstock of the galaxy had just defeated a Vraxian outpost with minimal casualties on either side. And they had done it with technology no one knew they possessed. The Vraxians did not take their defeat lightly. 2 weeks after the rescue mission, a Vraxian battle fleet jumped into the Alpha Centauri system. 20 warships, led by the massive dreadnought Eternal Fang, approached Earth's most important colony. Colony Governor Michelle Peterson received the alert in the middle of the night. She was 50, with salt and pepper hair and the steady nerves of someone who had prepared for this moment for years. "Begin evacuation protocol. Shelter storm," she ordered. "All non-essential personnel to the underground bunkers." Unlike most colonies in the galaxy, which built their settlements on the surface, humans had constructed much of Alpha Centauri colony underground. What appeared to be a small settlement of 10,000 was actually home to over 50,000 people, most living in vast underground complexes. The Vraxians, expecting to find helpless colonists, instead found mostly empty buildings. Their initial bombardment destroyed structures that had been designed to look important, but were actually empty shells. On the colony's defense platform, Marine Sergeant Scott Williams watched the Vraxian landing ships descend. He was 35, with a weathered face and steady hands. His team of 20 Marines were hidden in positions throughout the colony's surface level. "Remember your training," he told them through the comlink. "Hit and run. Never stay in one place. Use their size against them." The Vraxians landed 5,000 troops, expecting to quickly take control of the colony. Instead, they found themselves fighting an enemy they couldn't see. Human Marines, wearing adaptive camouflage suits, struck quickly and disappeared into hidden passages. "Team 3, fall back to position Echo," Williams ordered as a Vraxian patrol approached his unit's position. "Team 4, prepare ambush at Junction 7. The Vraxians were confused. Their superior strength and weapons should have made this an easy victory, but the humans were using guerrilla tactics, striking where the aliens were weakest and vanishing before they could respond. In orbit, the U.S. Defiance dropped out of warp, leading a battle group of 7 human warships. They were heavily outnumbered, but Captain Wright had a plan. "Begin Operation Thunderstorm," he ordered. The human ships split into 3 groups, attacking the Vraxian fleet from multiple angles. The Vraxians, used to fighting in tight formations, struggled to respond to the unpredictable human tactics. "Sir, the Nelveri fleet has arrived," reported Communications Officer Evans. On the main screen, 7 Nelveri warships appeared on the far side of the system. The Vraxians were now caught between 2 forces. Captain Wright opened a channel to the Vraxian flagship. "Attention Vraxian Commander. Your ground forces are making no progress, and your fleet is now outnumbered. Withdraw now or face destruction." The Vraxian Admiral, a battle-scarred veteran named Kraz, snarled in response. "Humans do not dictate terms to the Dominion. All ships, concentrate fire on the Defiance." The Vraxian ships turned as one, their weapons targeting the human flagship. It was exactly what Wright had expected. "Evasive pattern Omega," he ordered. "All ships, execute lightning strike." The human vessels scattered in seemingly random directions, but there was a careful plan behind their movements. As the Vraxians focused on the Defiance, the other human ships attacked from their blind spots. On the planet below, Governor Peterson watched the battle from the colony's command center deep underground. "Sergeant Williams, what's your status?" she asked over the secure channel. "The Vraxians are pulling back to their landing zones," Williams reported. "They've lost nearly a third of their force and haven't secured a single important target." The Vraxians had expected to fight a united, organized defense. Instead, they faced small teams that struck and disappeared, using the colony's hidden tunnels to move undetected. The humans' apparent weakness, their lack of unified mind-link systems like the Vraxians used, had become a strength. Each human team could act independently, making their movements impossible to predict. In orbit, the battle reached its turning point. 3 Vraxian destroyers had been disabled, and the Nullvery fleet was closing in from the other side. Admiral Kraz faced a difficult choice: continue fighting and risk losing his entire fleet, or retreat and face disgrace. "All ships, prepare for emergency warp," he finally ordered. "Ground forces, return to transports immediately." As the Vraxian fleet began to withdraw, several other ships appeared at the edge of the system. They were from species that had previously remained neutral in the conflict. "We're being hailed by a Xanthi cruiser," Evans reported, surprise evident in his voice. The Xanthi were an ancient, highly advanced species that rarely involved themselves in galactic politics. "Put them through," Wright ordered. A tall, willowy alien appeared on screen. "Captain Wright, I am Observer Thalen of the Xanthi Collective. We have witnessed this battle with great interest. Perhaps we have underestimated your species." Wright nodded respectfully. "Many have made that mistake, Observer Thalen. We hope it won't be repeated." As the Vraxian ships fled the system, the truth spread across the galaxy. Humans were not the weak, laughable creatures everyone had thought. They were dangerous when provoked, capable warriors who fought unlike any other species. And they were just getting started. 1 month after the Battle of Alpha Centauri, Captain Linda Garcia stood in the grand meeting hall of the Nullvery homeworld. The room was filled with representatives from 4 alien species who had suffered under Vraxian expansion. The Nullvery with their blue-tinted skin, the insectoid Zikra, the gaseous Mirians, and the crystalline Folians. Garcia was 40, with sharp eyes that missed nothing and a diplomatic manner that hid her warrior's heart. As the commander of the U.S. Harmony, she had been chosen to represent Earth in these critical negotiations. "The Vraxians have pushed too far for too long," she said, her voice carrying across the hall. "Alone, each of our species faces overwhelming odds. Together, we have a chance not just to defend ourselves, but to reshape the galaxy." The Nullvery Prime Minister nodded. "Your people have proven their worth in battle, Captain. But a formal alliance requires trust. How can we be sure humans will not use our technology against us one day?" Garcia smiled. "The same way we trust you. By fighting side by side. By bleeding together. My people have a saying: there is no stronger bond than that formed in battle." On Earth, Chief Strategist Alan Cooper worked with a team of human and alien engineers. Cooper was older than most active officers, with gray hair and hands that showed the scars of a lifetime of building things. His job was to find ways to combine the different technologies of the allied species. "The Nullvery shields are the strongest, but they drain too much power from our engines," he explained to his team. "The Zikrat have lightweight armor that might solve the problem." A Zikra engineer clicked its mandibles and thought, "We could modify the molecular structure to channel excess energy back to your power systems." This was humanity's greatest strength in the eyes of their new allies: the ability to think flexibly, to combine ideas in ways no single species had considered. In deep space, near a region known as Orion's Belt, the combined fleet gathered. 97 ships from 5 species, forming the largest allied force the galaxy had seen in centuries. They faced 120 Vraxian warships. On the bridge of the Defiance, now the flagship of the human fleet, Captain Wright studied the tactical display. The Vraxians are maintaining their standard formation, reported Lieutenant Hoffman. They still don't adapt well to new situations. Wright nodded. That's their weakness. Begin Operation Scattered Stars. The Allied fleet, which had been clustered together, suddenly broke apart into small, seemingly random groups. The Vraxians, expecting a head-on battle, were confused by this tactic. Communications officer Susan Thompson worked frantically at her station. Unlike most alien species, who communicated through standardized translator systems, humans had studied the actual languages of their allies. Thompson spoke 6 alien languages, allowing for faster, more nuanced communication during battle. Zikra squadrons confirm they are in position, she reported. The Tholian crystalline ships are ready to deploy their web. The battle began with the Vraxians advancing in their tight, disciplined formation. They fired at the scattered Allied ships, but hit few targets. Then the trap closed. The Tholian ships, almost invisible against the star field, activated their special technology. Energy webs formed between them, trapping a third of the Vraxian fleet in a section of space where their weapons lost power. The Mirians, who could exist in space without ships, flooded the Vraxian vessels' air systems, disabling crews without killing them. Human and Nelvari ships darted between the larger Vraxian dreadnoughts, firing precisely at engines and weapon systems. In the medical bay of the Defiance, Dr. Jeffrey Collins treated wounded from all allied species. Humans had studied alien physiology not just to find weaknesses, but to learn how to save lives. Collins had developed techniques to treat plasma burns on Nelvari skin and stop the bleeding of Zikra hemolymph. Their left heart is failing, he told his medical team as they worked on a wounded Nelvari officer. Begin the adaptive plasma infusion. This care for allies further strengthened the bonds between the species. The Vraxians, who treated their own wounded as failures, couldn't understand this aspect of human behavior. As the battle reached its 6th hour, the Vraxian fleet broke formation for the first time in recorded history. Their rigid command structure had collapsed under the unpredictable attacks from multiple directions. They're retreating, reported Hoffman, disbelief in his voice. The Allied fleet had lost 17 ships. The Vraxians had lost 43, with another 31 disabled. Captain Garcia, watching from the Harmony, opened a channel to all Allied ships. Today marks the beginning of a new era, she said. No longer will any single species dominate through force. Together, we have proven that diversity is strength, that different minds working toward a common goal can overcome any obstacle. The news spread quickly across the galaxy. The mighty Vraxian Dominion had been defeated in open battle, and at the heart of the alliance that defeated them were the humans, once the laughingstock of the galaxy, now its unexpected heroes. 1 year after the Battle of Orion's Belt, the combined fleet of the Alliance approached Vraxian Prime, the homeworld of the Vraxian Dominion. The fleet had grown to over 200 ships from 12 different species. At its center flew the U.S. Frontier, the same ship that had first carried humans into galactic society 7 years earlier. Captain Richard Moore stood on the bridge of the Frontier, now refitted as a powerful warship. He had requested this assignment specifically, to complete the circle that had begun with humanity's humiliation. "We're receiving a transmission from Vraxian High Command," reported his communications officer. Moore straightened his uniform. On screen, the face that appeared belonged to Supreme Admiral Krazak, the highest military leader of the Vraxian Dominion. His scales had dulled with age and stress, and his eyes showed something Vraxians rarely displayed: uncertainty. "Captain Moore," Krazak said, his translator making his voice sound flat. "The Dominion requests terms for surrender." A hush fell over the bridge. After a year of hard fighting across dozens of star systems, the war was ending not with a final battle, but with words. "Admiral," Moore replied, "the Alliance will accept nothing less than unconditional surrender and agreement to the new Galactic Charter." The Vraxians seemed to deflate slightly. "The terms are accepted. We request only that our civilian populations be treated with mercy." Moore nodded. Unlike the Dominion, The Alliance does not make war on civilians. Prepare to receive our diplomatic team. As the transmission ended, Moore looked around at his crew, humans who had gone from being mocked as weak to being respected as warriors and leaders. Send word to Earth, he ordered. The war is over. 3 weeks later, Commander Samantha Powell walked into the Grand Chamber of the Galactic Council. 7 years ago, she had stood in this same room and endured the mockery of the assembled species. Now she led the delegation that would reshape galactic society. The Alliance proposes a new galactic charter, she announced to the gathered representatives of over 30 species, one based on mutual respect and cooperation rather than dominance and fear. The Xanthi observer, Thalen, who had watched the humans prove themselves at Alpha Centauri, spoke first. The old ways have failed us. Perhaps it is time to listen to these interesting humans. Powell outlined the new charter. All sentient species would have equal representation. Military force against civilian populations would be banned. Technology and knowledge would be shared for the benefit of all, with appropriate safeguards. We were once laughed at for our weaknesses, Powell said, her voice strong and clear. But what you saw as weaknesses were actually our greatest strengths. Humans are not the strongest, or the fastest, or the most technologically advanced. But we are adaptable. We learn. We cooperate. And most importantly, we understand that true strength comes from diversity of thought and approach. The new charter was ratified by 28 species that day. The Vraxians, now stripped of their empire, signed last. 6 months later, Earth established the Interstellar Defense Academy. Young officers from dozens of species trained together, learning from each other's strengths and supporting each other's weaknesses. In the Academy's main hall, a simple plaque told the story of humanity's journey. Once mocked for our weakness, we found strength in unity and adaptability. May we never forget that peace requires both the will to understand and the ability to defend. Admiral Howard Russell, now the head of the Academy, walked with Captain Moore through the training grounds where Vraxian cadets trained alongside Nelvari, Zikra, and humans. Did you ever imagine it would end like this? Russell asked. When we were the laughingstock of the galaxy. Moore watched as a human instructor showed a young Vraxian how to improve his endurance through paced breathing, something the Vraxians had never considered important before. I always hoped we'd prove ourselves, Moore replied. But I never imagined we'd change the galaxy itself. In the research labs of the Academy, Dr. Olivia Harrison continued her study of comparative species biology. What had begun as a search for alien weaknesses had become a quest to understand how different evolutionary paths created different strengths. The greatest lesson of the war, she wrote in her journal, was not that humans were stronger than anyone believed. It was that strength takes many forms, and the greatest power comes from combining those forms in new ways. The galaxy had stopped laughing at humans. Now they listened when humans spoke. Not because they feared human military might, but because they had learned that those who adapt, who combine ideas, and who cooperate across differences will always prevail over those who rely on strength alone. Humanity's greatest victory wasn't winning the war, it was creating the peace that followed.